Thank you so much for attending today. Um, I feel like I've been doing a lot of evangelizing lately, sharing ideas with people and kind of giving them some sense of understanding that things are changing faster than ever. And me personally, being in education technology for 28 years, I've seen a lot of things come and go. And this is I'm not going to say it's the first time, but it's definitely one of the times in the history of my educational career that I've seen the real world changing tremendously faster than the classroom. And there are some challenges there because the future that we are sending our children into, our students into, is going to be very different. And are we really preparing them for that reality? Are we preparing them for our past, or are we preparing them for their future? And if you really take a step back and look at our classrooms, they look closer to what they've looked like traditionally than what they should be looking like. And if we're really preparing kids for what their future is gonna look like and the skill sets required to be productive and to flourish in those environments. So today I want to share some strategies, some statistics, and some ideas with you just to help you maybe reframe how you think about the future and how you think about preparing students at your school for that future, and a couple easy tweaks that possibly you could make to really have confidence that what you're doing is effective. My name is Ernie Delgado. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Beyond Technology Education. As I mentioned, I've been in edtech 28 years, and right now there are a few things happening in the real world, in business and industry, things that I'm calling game changers that are creating entirely new industries, that are reshaping industries, and are also killing industries. So when you look at some of these really these game changers, things like machine learning and automation, yeah, you could be concerned that a lot of entry level jobs are disappearing. Absolutely, that is happening. You could also look at it as an opportunity. There will be new jobs created. There will be new opportunities created and new ways to connect with the world. And how do we put ourselves in a place where we can be productive in that environment and create and thrive? And so it's not as much to be afraid as how do we engineer skill sets so that we are preparing kids for a more sophisticated future. Obviously, we know technology is not going anywhere. In fact, it's driving all this innovation. And the concept that I see happening behind all of this change is the concept of exponential growth. Now, a lot of us are familiar with Moore's law. Processing power doubles every 12 to 18 months. That has been very consistent over the last 20 years or 30 years. Processing power in computers, in any kind of computational technology, is changing and getting faster and faster. And that processing power drives innovation and drives businesses and drives ideas and new ways of doing things. But what's happening in that respect is that it's not doubling like Moore's law. It's actually growing exponentially. So instead of 2 plus 2 is 4, 4 plus 2 is 6, 6 plus 2 is 8, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 16 is 256. I'm almost to a billion. That is what's happening in the real world, and it is driving innovation at an accelerated rate. Things are changing so fast that if you really look at the last, 1,000 years or so, we are experiencing a technological explosion that has never been seen before, and there's no signs that it's going to slow or stop. It's going to continue to change, continue to evolve, and it's continued to create a different world that we're growing into. So, none of us can predict the future, but I have a couple ideas to help you maybe get yourself in that place. Now, the reason why this innovation acceleration is so critical is that if you overlay it with what I call the traditional education model has been evolving very slowly. Basically, it's a very flat, very slow slope upward. So if you look at exponential growth and you look at linear growth, you know, we may have already come to the point where exponential growth has passed the ability for traditional classroom learning to keep pace with that change. That we might be there right now where we're not able to be competitive and provide all the resources with the traditional model. The good news is that there's lots of opportunities to take a look at how we do things in the classroom, how we prepare teachers, how we prepare students, how we change curriculum in the environment that we have put together, and we could start changing that a little bit and giving students a more real world look at what their future might be like within the school day, within the curriculum framework. It's very possible, and in fact, we do it all day, every day. That's our role with schools. So if you take a look at all these things, there are some ultimate truths. And one of those facts is that we just need to teach better, faster, because the future for these students is coming closer and closer, and we need to get them up to speed, because these game-changing technologies are just going to revolutionize any kind of job. Entry-level jobs are disappearing. They're going to need to be more sophisticated humans to be competitive. So Beyond Technology Education is the company that I founded with Rick Harrell 18 years ago. It was my third actually edtech experience, and at that point in time, we really took a step back and we asked ourselves, is technology really going to be a driving force in education, and how could we do it right to make sure that we are improving teaching and we are improving learning? And now we also say we want to make sure that we're also preparing kids for the future and giving them the skill sets to be competitive. And so we always keep an eyeball, we keep a watch on trends and what's happening. And so a couple things I want to point out first off, just to make sure that we're all on the same page moving down this path and getting this knowledge today, is just the fact that technology is exploding. That's not big, huge news. Probably every student and teacher in your school has at least a computer or two. Some of your students probably have sophisticated networked environments, wireless networks. Some of these gaming rigs are pretty crazy that kids are dealing with today. And if you ever take a look at all the screens around your house, I think I counted the other day, I have like 18 screens in my house, which is ridiculous. Yes, I could see 5 right here just in my office. Now, take a look at what's happening in your students' houses, and more importantly, what's happening in the houses of your teachers, because this is an important concept, is understanding the teacher's role in all of this innovation. Right now, it's safe to say that the bottleneck for most schools is getting all their teachers up to a minimum level. I have found that schools are now getting access to technology. That was the bottleneck 10, 15 years ago. That's no longer the bottleneck. Technology has become a little easier to acquire, and people understand its value. Fundraisers, state and federal funding is available. Schools have technology. Now the bigger challenge is, how do we get teachers comfortable and able to use it effectively? Well, the good news is that the fastest growing group of users of technology are adults, ages 36 to 65. And when I found this little morsel of research, I was very interested and intrigued, because that represents a pretty good majority of your teachers. Now, obviously, teachers retire, younger teachers are coming in, that's happening, but a lot of you have a veteran teaching staff, and a lot of them were not raised or even gone through the college experience with technology as part of their curriculum. So a lot of retraining has to happen. Now, what I'm finding is most teachers are using technology in their personal lives. They're communicating through social media, they're buying stuff on Amazon, they're installing video doorbells. These things are happening. They have digital they have digital television, and they're able to set their remotes up, and things in their cars. It's autonomous vehicles in some cases, or at least the option to do that. So it's just a different world. But a lot of teachers still don't understand how to use those tools effectively in the classroom. The classroom's a little unique in that you have curriculum, and you have a bell schedule, and you have other parameters. How do you make these technology tools fit in? Well, that's the next phase. We need to get teachers comfortable there. So the disconnect is still there, but it's much smaller than it used to be. It's very manageable, and it just takes a little bit of energy to get that disconnect filled in and getting them on track. Second huge trend, and we've already touched on it, and that's just skill sets required for the future. Career options are changing. Many careers are disappearing. Completely new career opportunities are opening up. And a lot of them are revolving around those game changing technologies. And that list is going to change over time. And there's always something new. But how do we prepare students for their future? Now, I'll tell you this, corporate America is a little concerned if K-12 education is preparing kids for the real world. We have a world-class university system, but there are opportunities within our K-12 environments to start preparing kids for the future. Again, the timeline is shorter now. Students are going to have multiple careers in their lives. Many of them are going to be some version of self-employed. So how do we make sure that they're prepared for that? Well, this can happen within the curriculum if we kind of change strategies a little bit. I'm not, we don't really subscribe to the automated teaching and learning process. I don't think that teachers should disappear from the process of teaching and learning. And I know some people, that's their vision of technology. It's all automated. There's technologies that just keep pace with the student. And I'm not saying there's not a place for certain levels of that, but teachers should be involved. And we're more on the project-based learning side, where students are still learning their academic content, but they are doing it while solving problems, while collaborating with other students, making, creating, doing, inventing, testing, building, with the help of their fellow classmates in regard to the content, into the curriculum, the standards-based curriculum. So there are some tweaks that need to happen, but at the end of the day, it's relevant screen time. The students are doing stuff that will benefit them. It's not a waste of time. And I see students go down those rabbit holes, and I applaud those schools who have made a stand against screen time. So if you're gonna do some type of screen time at school, let's make sure it's practical and it's developed and designed to improve their futures, and make sure that it's going to really make a difference down the road. The other big trend is the one-to-one device program, or there's a couple different versions. There's the bring your own device, which we don't, we're not as strong on that. We prefer every student have the same kind of device for a variety of reasons, but having a device for every student. The good news is that there are options that are more cost effective. We're huge fans of the Google Chromebook. We're huge fans of the Apple iPad. We're huge fans of the Windows laptop. We're huge fans of the Microsoft Surface. These are all great options, and they're all vary in price. But when you find the right tools and it fits your budget, the goal is to get one for every student, every teacher, and we all have a supercomputer now with us, and we can do so many great things. But we have found that many schools have done that. They've fundraised, they've gotten the money, they've brought in all this technology, and it's still not really achieving the results they were hoping for. In fact, in some cases, it's actually taken them backwards a little bit, mainly because they weren't prepared. If you have a school of 400 students and you have and 30 teachers, and you have 430 devices show up one day or over the weekend, and Monday everyone's got one, and you didn't plan for that appropriately, that's going to be a problem. So we are all on board with the one-to-one model. However, we want to make sure that schools prepare for that. And even if you're doing it with certain grades, or even if you've already done it and maybe want to make it more efficient, there's really no clear model out there that schools can point to and say that's the right way. Well, actually, I'm about to change that. There is a model. That's what we've developed. It's the SWIMGrid technology integration model for K6, K8, K12, 612, 912 schools. The goal, it's very simple. SWIM stands for School-Wide Integration Model, and it's a clear strategy that helps you really prepare or improve for a device, a real high technology environment, where we're pretty much evaluating all the different parts of the puzzle and making sure all the pieces fit together. And it's not all done at one time. It happens over a series of years. Generally, a 4-year timeline is ideal. And we put together a 4-year integration timeline and technology plan over 4 years. But to give you a little background on this SWIMGrid model, we didn't just pluck these ideas out of the air. We used to do a lot of technology planning. Back in the 90s, there was something called digital high school. which was an innovative funding program in California, and they were giving like $350 per student. So these big, huge 2, 3, 4,000 student high schools were just getting huge buckets of money. But in order for them to get those buckets of money, they had to develop a technology plan, and that was one of our skill sets. As we did technology planning, and they'd pay us a lot of money to put together the committees and develop these plans, and we would do it over and over again, and we were happy to do that. But I will tell you this: it always came down to these 5 critical components. Every plan came down to these 5 areas. And so what we did to save you the time, to save you the money, to benefit from all of our experience, is we created the SWIMGrid model. And so it saves time and money. And now, even though these 5 different areas change from school to school, we still identify and make sure all 5 are covered. Of course, there's lots of detail within each area, but this is the model that we use as the filter for all of our projects. And again, we get a good result from that. Let's talk about the 5. Number 1, probably the most important piece, I've already touched on it. The bottleneck for most schools is getting your teachers prepared. Assess, train, support classroom teachers. If you want technology to really take hold, if you want to be a technology school, if you just want to get your money's worth from your technology purchases, your teachers need to be part of the conversation. Now, do they all have to become technology gurus, rock stars? No, not at all, but they do need to be comfortable with the tools and understand what the pieces of the puzzle are. We have a saying: the teachers need the 3 C's. What are the 3 C's? Confidence, competence, content. You'll hear us say that over and over again. You could have all the technology in the world, but if your teachers don't have the 3 C's, you're not going to get your bang for your buck. So we make sure that happens. The second level is your student piece, student technology curriculum. Now, a lot of people like to think the students already know it all. They like to think they do, right? But they don't. They don't always understand how to properly edit a document. They don't always understand how to use a spreadsheet effectively. They don't always know how to search appropriately in a browser. They don't always know how to use some of the different technology tools you might have available at the school, like digital whiteboards or some of the tools that are built into their Chromebooks. There's lots of things that students don't know. They know how to type really fast with their thumbs. They know how to do that, right? And they know how to make videos of themselves. But do they know how to really accurately, effectively use all the major technology tools, starting in kindergarten? So we have a K-8 and a 9-12 scope and sequence. It's built on we take notice of the ISTE standards. We take note of the National Computing Technology Standards, I believe it's called, and we exceed every state standard that we've ever come across. So number 1, train teachers. Number 2, train students. Make sure they also get it. The third area, in my opinion, is one of the most important parts, and that's the custom classroom lesson integration piece. And this is where we partner with classroom teachers, either by grade level or by subject, and we talk with them. We say, show us your lesson plans. Let's choose 4 projects, 4 lesson plans per year, per grade. So if you're a K-8, that's 9 grades, right? That would be 18, that'd be 36 projects per year. Let's pick 4 projects per grade, and we'll assign one of our instructional designers who has tons of experience in creating powerful technology-enriched projects to sit down with your teachers and say, show me what makes this lesson plan great that you have now, your current version. Show me the state standards, show me the goals and objectives, show me the strategies that have worked. Let's take a look at your environment. What technology do you have available? The textbooks and curriculum you have, what kind of digital resources are there? In your classroom, what kind of tools do you have available? And then what is the skill level of you, the teacher? And we know that because we've been working with them through number 1, PD. There was an assessment done. So we kind of have a lot of knowledge on a lot of things happening to the school so that we can now take that lesson plan, start bouncing ideas off the teacher. What if we did this, this, and this? What if we did this research? We're going to maintain the standards, but we're going to do it in a more technology-friendly way. And so that Chromebook that your student has access to, instead of them just pressing Y's and N's and arrow keys, they're going to use it to research. They're going to create spreadsheets. They're going to do a presentation. They're going to go get some resources, maybe talk to a scientist somewhere about some topics, and they're going to put together in partnership with other students, because we like to do this stuff in a collaborative way. That's how the world works. And so that lesson plan to do that will be created by our team. So we spend about 30, 40 minutes with your teachers, either by grade level or by subject, talking about the lesson plan. Then we take the notes that we collected from that conversation back to our office, spend 4 to 10 hours, and make that lesson plan a fantastic technology powerful lesson plan. Now we bring it back to the teacher and they get it because it's their lesson plan, but now it has all the technology procedures, all the steps, all the apps, all the websites, all the templates built in for them. And all that research has been conducted on their behalf. Now, many schools already have teachers that are doing this. Those teachers would love to be able to give this to somebody. They would love to take that off their plate. So we could come in and do it at a really high level. Most of your teachers just don't have the ability to do that. So they love the fact that now they have someone on their behalf to come in and develop projects for them. So we handle both ends of the problem. We solve that problem. The fourth area is obviously infrastructure. You need a good internet connection. You need good security measures. You need powerful wireless access points. And you need some strategies and some documentation for everything. And you need to make sure all your devices are cleaned and maintained every year. And so everything is working together. So we do upgrades, installations, ongoing IT support. And then oftentimes overlooked is the project manager. Number 5, someone from our team who understands technology, who understands education, who understands adult learning theory and integration support. They understand all the things, and they're responsible for making sure that everything in that contract happens the way it's supposed to. So let me drill down into a couple of. I'll come back to those 5 points again, but let's understand the 3 C's: confidence, competence, content. Well, obviously, number 1 is getting your teachers going with PD. It starts with an assessment. It's 100 questions, and make sure that we have a really kind of quick snapshot. Every year, we like to revisit this concept, either with an additional assessment or at least some type of survey. Every year, we want to make sure that we're addressing teachers' needs and coming back for fresh ideas. Our professional development, we usually have a bucket of hours, and some of those hours will be used for group instruction. Some of those hours will be used for small group instruction. Some of it will be application training. Some of it will be teaching on some of your new management systems or tools. Some of it will be teaching teachers how to understand their presentation systems or their actual devices like laptops or iPads or Chromebooks. Some of those hours are one-on-one coaching, modeling in the classroom with the teacher. So there's usually 10 to 20 to 30 to 50 hours per year that you have available and that we schedule before the year starts, so we know when the PD happens, and just to make sure every year the teachers go to the next level. Now, this was some fascinating research. It was a survey done of teachers asking them, do you agree that technology is essential? 86% yes, it's important or absolutely essential. 96% agreed it increased student engagement. So in theory, yes, everyone was very positive, very appreciative of technology. Now, there's theory, then there's practice, right? In practice, they asked them, do you do the things that you think are best? And they said no, or very, very little. 19% were using any kind of subject-specific content tool. 14% were using any kind of digital curriculum. 92%, again, close to unanimous, said they needed more technology. And 77, over 3/4, had a hard time finding the appropriate resources. So theory, practice, 2 different realities. Now, that small group of teachers that did feel it was important and did feel they were doing it right came down to another problem. They were spending too much time figuring this stuff out. And this is what I'm finding around the country. Schools, as I mentioned, are successfully getting technology. They're getting the stuff. They're getting the laptops. They're getting the iPads. They're getting the Chromebooks. They're getting internet access. And don't forget, folks, 5G is on the horizon, and that's going to open up a whole nother set of opportunities. But the teachers now find there's a whole nother problem. Now that we have all this technology, we need to figure out how to connect it to the curriculum. And I love this analogy. Every school has curriculum. Every school has technology. I call it the last mile in education. How do the two come together? How does technology and curriculum meet? There needs to be a plan to make sure those moments are powerful and they match the curriculum, and there's intention on how to do it, not by accident. Don't just leave it up to the teachers. Don't just send them to a one-day in-service and expect them to come back and be able to do this. There needs to be a plan, and this is the problem we solve to help make sure that that moment of truth is done right, done consistently from class to class, grade to grade, year to year. One other thing we do is we evaluate. What are the skill sets that we should be preparing our students with? I mentioned before, none of us can predict the future, but I'm pretty sure we could all connect the dots. Remember those dot to dots? I used to love playing dot to dot. Well, we could do the same thing with data. If you look at the fastest growing jobs in America, and this is actually pretty current, this is from April of this year, but every 3 to 5 years, we do an analysis of the fastest growing jobs, and we have found they always require 21st century skills, critical thinking, IT application, collaboration, creativity, and innovation. These skill sets become more and more important every year. So if we connect the dots, do we think in the future these skill sets and the need for them is going to decrease or increase? Exactly. It's going to increase. That's going to continue to go up. So, we don't know the future, but we're smart people. We could evaluate trends and we could connect the dots. And if you look at the technology skills, and I love this chart, I just created this recently, and I think it really illustrates a point. Where are we headed? Where are we headed in our schools? Level 1, 2, and 3, all of these things should happen in a K-8 environment. By high school, well, in high school, your students should not be learning computer. Now, I understand oftentimes if you run a high school, you don't know where your freshmen are coming from. You don't know what they learned in their middle school. You have no idea unless you're a K-12 school, then you have a very good idea. That's a great environment to have. So you might have to do some retraining, but ideally K through 8, level 1, 2, and 3 skills are all handled. Those 3 buckets should be handled. And I even see some more innovative schools getting into level 4. I see a lot of robotics. I see a lot of 3D printing out there, maker spaces. That's happening. Level 5 stuff, I'm not necessarily saying this has to happen in a school, like hands-on, but students should be aware of what these things are, because this is where a lot of a lot of companies are getting into these areas. And if you have an understanding or a passion or a gift in some of these things, you could kind of write your own ticket when it comes to picking schools or picking careers. So all of these things have to kind of coordinate, and they can be incorporated into the curriculum. And that's where, this third part comes in. I mentioned the custom lesson creation part is so important. So I think it's one of the most important things we do. And it's where we can now take your curriculum to a whole nother level. And the projects that we create in partnership with your teachers by following your curriculum, your state standards, your ESLers, any other guidelines you subscribe to, any other methodologies you're trying to incorporate, like STEM, STEAM, all of that, we can flipped learning, differentiated learning, all of that can now be done through our integration team. We help you with this. So basically you're outsourcing a lot of the development to us. We're doing the heavy lifting, bringing it to you on a silver platter. We have this thing called a partnership program. Depending where your school is, we could try to tap into local companies that are doing innovative stuff. They speak business, we speak classroom. We'll develop projects on your behalf to bring some of that high-tech knowledge into your school. So many opportunities when you customize lessons. And then obviously you need to have reliable technology. There's a lot of cool new stuff that can happen in your classrooms. That's part of our roles to help you keep your classrooms in line. And then the project manager. Our goal is not to be just another vendor. Many of you have heard me say this before. We want to be your partner, and so we take an active role. We want to be at your fundraisers. We want to be at your golf tournaments. We want to be at your back-to-school nights. We want to help you market the program. We're a for-profit company. We understand marketing. We'll help you spread the word to your community so everyone knows you have a really good thing going and you're the best school in the area. So to recap, train teachers, train students, develop custom lessons. All 3 of those things work harmoniously together. We'll help you make sure your technology's straight, and we'll make sure we plug in someone to keep all of that rolling smoothly forward. And we want to be your partner. That's our role here. So if you're interested, at the end of this webinar, there will be a series of questions. be truthful. Let me know if you're on fire right now and need more information. We can make this happen immediately. If you want to wait till later in the school year, there's not much left. Or if you even want to wait till next school year, let us know. And obviously, visit our website, beyondk12.com. We have a really nifty blog there with a lot of interesting content to check out. And we're at the stage where now, if you're interested in getting an idea, there's the analysis is free. We don't charge you for that. So it's a conversation, a little bit of question and answer, and we could get that started. We have samples, we have testimonials, and we have a training meeting. If you have a computer teacher that needs to be supported, our computer teacher training meeting is July 29th through 31st. They get a curriculum. That's something that we do, and we're excited to be able to present this idea to you. If anything here resonates, check in with us. Let us know. Ping us. Let us know what other resources we could provide, samples or otherwise. Or if you want to talk to some references, obviously we'll make that available. But thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of your day.